Hey guys, welcome back to Homestead Prepping and Survival. Well, I think I'm done with outside chores for today. I'm going to show you some video pieces I've done for you for the last couple days. I'm trying to make less videos, not upload, 5 or 6 a week like I've been doing. I'm going to do at least 2 like I always do, Mondays and Thursdays, but trying to maybe make them 15 to 20 minutes average instead of some of those 6 to 8, 9 minute ones. So anyway, I'm going to splice several pieces of what I've done the last couple of days and show y'all what I've managed to get finished, or at least mostly done, because I'm never really finished with anything until it's 100%. But we did not get the tractor back out here this weekend, so I didn't do a whole lot Saturday, just because it'd been a long week and I had needed a break, so I took one. I did get some stuff done, just not near as much. I didn't work all day like I normally would. So anyway, I'm going to edit in those pieces for you and show you what I've done as far as at the chickens and the doghouse and his run, and work out on the range, and show you some things that I've done. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. If you do, please hit the subscribe button and give me a thumbs up. It helps me so very much as far as growing the channel. And look at him going crazy in there. That little white hen, I don't know why, but her eggshells are always thinner than the other chickens. And I save all my eggshells and crush them up and mix it in with their feed to keep their calcium level up. But for whatever reason, her eggshells are always thin, and I can tell when I need to add more calcium, because she'll lay an egg or two that it breaks in the nest. It doesn't hold up, and the ants got it today. It was broke. So, of course, I threw it out there, and the chickens will run around with it and eat it until it's gone. But anyway, I just finished filling up all 3 feeders, and like I say, I'll show you the video, but I've got the water leak fixed there and got the cable issue fixed with the dog up there. And then I went out and worked on the range and got a little bit of stuff done. So I hope y'all enjoy it. Thank y'all for watching. I do appreciate y'all. Now I'm going to do this early because I didn't do it at the end of the other piece of the video. Remember the 2 things I always tell y'all. Jesus loves you, and so do I. Y'all be safe and be prepared. Well, if I needed that dirt spread out, such as piles of cow manure or horse manure or whatever, that's what chickens were not just raised for eggs and meat. In the old days, they got to scratch and till the garden area and the pastures where the large livestock were kept. And the chickens will spread that manure and eat the flies and larvae and all the insects that feed on the manure. The chickens feed on the insects and help spread the manure from one pile in all over the ground to help fertilize the ground, so the grass for the large animals grows back better next time. So I went ahead, dug up this water line where that spot has been damp the whole time, and just like I said, it was probably a joint that wasn't glued good or something. So I'm going to have to try to pull that apart. I may have to dig it up further back, I don't know, but I'm going to have to try to pull that apart, clean the pipe, re-glue it, put it back together, because it's got a pretty good drip there. Of course, under the ground, you couldn't see it, but it kept that whole foot and a half area damp. So that was easy digging because the ground's so wet. So I had already refilled my 275-gallon water tanks over here. And I just opened them back up and drained them again, even though I did treat it with chlorine to keep it fresh. I actually put too much in one of the tanks, so it didn't bother me. But I let them drain, and it took about 20 seconds maybe for it to fill that first deep hole. So it a lot of volume coming out of that big old spout on those things. So anyway, and then of course it flooded the ground and filled the other holes and wet all the ground around it. Now out here where the other two poles will go, which will be 8 foot from there, 8 foot from there, and I'll measure diagonal to make sure I've got it right. This part of the yard's not wet, but I'm thinking of just turning the water hose on and letting it flood right here for a little while, because I'm hoping my buddy Bill can come over tomorrow with my brother's tractor and we can try digging again. But I don't want to stand here with a water hose for 2 hours keeping the ground wet, so I'm thinking about just getting one of the sprinklers out that I used in the garden, and I've got one of those that goes back and forth. I like that better than the one that goes around. It seems to wet more evenly. But anyway, I'm thinking about getting it and putting it right here and just keeping this whole ground wet. And that way when he gets here with the tractor, whether it's this week or, you know, whatever, whenever we get a chance, because the next weekend I've got a range day scheduled. So anyway, that's what I'm trying to do, is soften the ground by getting some water in it, because we haven't had rain in at least 6 weeks. So I was out at a farmer on the other side, Leesburg, today, and was working on their ice machine, and me and one of the brothers that owns the place was talking, and he's like, yeah, we haven't gotten rain in about that long, about 6 weeks. And I said, well, it hadn't been that long that guy that I work with pulled up the radar and said it was flooding at my house. And I got home, and 3/4 of a mile down the dirt road, it was muddy and soaked. And at my house, dry as a bone. So yeah, he didn't quite exactly have my house location. The rain went right beside me. But anyway, I'm thinking about putting that sprinkler up there to wet that ground, and then move it over here at the other end of this building where I want to dig for that tower, because we got a pretty good digging over there, but nowhere near as good as it could be if I could get them all to go down as deep as they're supposed to. But anyway, that water runs all the way down into the chicken pen area, run area here, and then it gets into this first building and even a little bit into the second. So, you know, it doesn't look like it on camera, but this is all slightly sloped downhill. And if you go all the way back to the edge of where I've got the wood brush all pushed up back there, it slowly dips off right there into the tall weeds and woods. And that's a real shallow, slight dip there, no more than about a foot over a 15-foot span. So, you know, you don't even really notice it when you're walking or cutting grass. But as it goes across my property here, it gets wider and deeper. And where I built the bridge on the range over here, it was 20 feet wide, or maybe 18, and about 6 feet deep. That's why I built the bridge, because I done, you know, I had already fallen in that ditch trying to walk down it and back up it and so on, and it was a pain to drag the deer out that way when my ex-wife or my son-in-law shot one. So I decided to build that bridge when I cut them big trees down. And then of course I've added more and more dirt till I just filled in both sides. And but if you follow that across the next piece of property all the way back to the back corner of it back yonder, that thing is 20 feet deep, 15 to 20, something like that. And 30 feet wide, 40 feet wide. It's huge gully back there. But then it's like that when they made the field road down that pine orchard and those woods there, somebody cut in a road so it doesn't have a wall on the back side of it anymore. It really just kind of a three-shaped little pond area. It doesn't have a dam on that back end, so it doesn't hold water. And the only time it really fills with water is if we get what us Southerners call a gully washer. We get a whole bunch of rain in a hurry, it will push down this ditch in that way. But I have clogged up the ditch. And the only time in the last few years that I've had a problem with it is after I ran this PVC, the wiring all back there. It's not buried, of course. It's not buried from right here all the way back, which is about 300 feet. Grass has grown over it some, but it's not buried. But on the other side of the bridge where it dips a little lower, the water ran across right there, and it pushed that PVC pipe about 10 feet to the right and broke it up here at the elbow. That's why I already had a elbow repair to fix. The rest of it never broke or anything. But then, of course, we hit it with the tractor last week and messed up this side. So I've got to redo all that PVC there and take the wire loose and, you know, run it back through and with new pipe and glued up and all that. So that'll be hopefully done this weekend or sometime next week. But it's been a long week. A couple of nights I didn't sleep well, so I've got to get up and get moving all weekend, not just today, and try to get some of these projects done, because next weekend is the range day with the men's group from church. So I want to have all that stuff done. I want to have that roof fixed and that shelter covered and all of that. Look at there. This rooster is trying to mount any of them that get on the ground more than a couple minutes with him. Even the other roosters that are in there. He's grabbing them and trying to hold them still so he can get on them. And those roosters aren't acting like roosters yet, so he can mount any one of them that comes down there. So he's got all of them, all 10 of them, staying up on the roost quite a bit. So they're going to stay together until they become one unit, so they will roost with each other. The adults are out spreading the dirt that I don't need them to spread, but it is what it is. And then the first pen, what was teenagers, some of them are staying up on the roost, and they get down. I've seen them all get down, but then they get back up on that roost because those 3 original hens will pick at them. And I really don't understand that, because the 2 roosters, the blue Orpington roosters I put over there, they stay down there on the ground with them. They don't care. But all the hens stay up on the roost a lot because these other 3 hens will pick at them. But there's 6 of them and 3 of them. I don't know why they don't just, you know, straighten them out. Attitude adjustment, but anyway. All right. He tried to mount her. She ran from him. I'm wondering if this little ditch I just dug around this pipe is going to fill up with water overnight. Because I'm not fixing it today. I'm not going to get out here and get covered in mud and all that mess trying to fix this. I'll put on some old clothes when I do it so that I don't destroy them. But I think I'm going to get that sprinkler out and set up a little sprinkler and see if I can't get this ground softened up a little bit. Even if it will be muddy, at least it'll be soft. And tomorrow I've got to go back to town. I didn't feel like shopping, so I got to go back to town and buy dog food and cat food and some other things. I haven't been shopping well over a month, maybe 2. So either way, y'all have a good rest of your day. Sometimes you just spend a few dollars to make them happy. Give me that toy. Well, maybe he won't be dragging so many limbs out and playing with them now that he's got a actual toy. Give me that toy. Give me that toy. Give me that toy. Give me that toy. You know, wore herself out running. Give me that toy. Give me that toy. Don't forget to have fun, guys. One of the chores I've done, had to figure out how he has knocked this doghouse over. And basically what he's done is he's somehow that cable stop got loose enough to either fall off or get slid way down here that I ain't even looked back there. So it must have fallen off and I can't find it, but I had extras. So I had to put a new cable stop on there to stop him where he can only come about a foot past the dog feeder. And he can't come around that side. He can get to the back corner, that's it. So that means he can get all the way into the doghouse but not get around it. So hopefully he won't be, look at that, and I've bent that up before he knocked it over, cable. But either way, hopefully he won't be able to knock it completely over and drag it anymore and keep tearing things up. So when I got out here this morning before church, he done drug this limb back over there, this big limb I pulled out of that tree that broke or whatever, and had it wrapped all around his cable, and then knocked the water over and the feeder, and just a mess. So the cable's been drooping a little bit because he pulls on it so much. That tree now leans this way when it didn't used to. So I got the truck, did something crazy. Some of y'all are going to think that anyway. Put my extension ladder on the tailgate, because with my little 12-foot extension ladder all the way up, I have to stand pretty much on the next to the top step and reach way above it for where his ratchet strap was on that pole to tighten it. Well, I had it as tight as it would go, so I took it completely down and I put the cable stop on it that where it loops back to itself about a foot further this way. And since the ladder was up on the tailgate, I put it in the groove of where the tailgate bends so it wouldn't move, and went all the way up and was comfortable enough to move that strap up another foot and a half, and got it pulled back around, even though my hands cramped and it was sucky at best. But either way, I got it pulled back around the post, ran the ratchet, hooked it back to the cable. I taped it on there so it would stay while I was trying to pull it tight. But so I did that, and got it further up the telephone pole over there, and got the cable a little tighter so it's not sagging so much, because the UPS trucks drive under this thing and I like to keep it high enough there's no issues. So that is the repair for that today. And also, I hope y'all can't hear that music I got playing on the radio in the background, because YouTube will give me a strike for that. Playing music I don't have copyrights to, but it's playing in the truck. Anyway, so I cut out the leaking elbow, and it was glued, it's just it didn't hold. So I cut it out, squared up the ends, glued two pieces together with a little piece of pipe to make a long coupling, and then got it bowed enough to where I could get that in, and it's all the way in and glued. And I've got the water back onto the chickens, and it's actually a little higher. I don't normally leave it. I leave it on just enough to where their water will fill up, and that's it. So if anything ever does break, I don't, my well's not running wide open trying to feed water down here. So anyway, that's fixed. I left paper towels and stuff down there. I'm gonna leave it open for another couple of days, make sure it completely dries up and there is no drip whatsoever, and then I'll turn the water back down to where I normally keep it, and cover this back up. Because like I say, we're in deep south in southwest Georgia. We very seldom get cold enough to freeze pipes, and typically I just leave something running with a little pencil or half size of a pencil stream, and prevents freezing, and I only have to do that, you know, 1 to 3 days a year. So, but I'm going to put a Y on that. I've got one up at the house on that faucet to where I can open up the other side and let it run, so the water will pull all the way through those lines, and I shouldn't have a problem with them freezing. That's normal anyway. At least it won't freeze in the ground, because that will be moving the water. If it freezes, it'll be the part up top, and I do plan on finish insulating these pipes, so hopefully that won't happen. But I can't do anything about the hose because, you know, it goes to the waterer. So I've never had their waterer freeze, and I've had chickens for, oh my goodness, if you here at the homestead, I've had them for probably 8 or 9 years. And if you count when I had them when I was much younger, in my early 20s, you know, I had them for 4 or 5 years then. And of course, being raised up, living with my uncle, he had chickens. So I've never had these water lines freeze, and I've never had their waterer freeze. So hopefully I won't have that trouble this year. But the chickens are doing well. Looks like the white hen's in there trying to do her part of paying her way. Lay me a butt nugget. And I haven't looked to see how many's been laid today. But the little mama hen there in the first pen, she's been staying up on the roost a lot, but I'm glad to see her down. So I've got the water leak fixed. I've got his cable tightened and a new cable stop put on it so he can't pull and cause destruction. And y'all saw in the earlier of this video where I bought him a toy. It's a little pull rope with a hard tennis ball in it. Bigger, looks like it's a little bigger than a tennis ball, but he loves playing with it. It's better than him getting all these sticks and dragging them out. And I've been trying to work with him a little bit for the last few days of, you know, throwing it and fetch it, and he will go get it. He just won't bring it to me yet, but it's a matter of time. So I'm gonna get off here. I'm gonna go out to the range. I've got everything I need on the truck. I'm gonna drive down to the range, and I am going to try to work on that roof on the classroom, because the weekend coming up is the range day for the men's group from church, the Men of Honor group. So I want to have that done. It doesn't really matter. It's going to be a nice day. It's supposed to be a little cool. So they're not planning on using the classroom or anything, but I want to get that fixed. And I've got the half fridge in the mini barn out there that I want to take down there once I get the building sealed back up. And I want to turn it on, so if people want to bring drinks or something and keep in there, they'll probably bring a cooler with ice, knowing them, but there'll be a refrigerator there anyway that will be on, and I'll turn it on the day before. So that's the plan. Now I just gotta get to work, since I took the metal down there a few days ago, well, several days ago. So either way, I'll see y'all in a little bit. All right, guys. So I didn't take the metal down. I got in there with my shovel and hit it into places that was in it down, and got it to straighten back up. If it still leaks, I'll come back and replace those couple pieces that I might need to later. I'm not worried about what's hanging off the building, because it's screwed at the edge of the building, so all that's fine. What overhangs really doesn't matter. So, but as you see, I got one side of the shelter roofed, and it's old used metal. It's got holes in it and rust spots and all that, but yeah, I think this is the outdoor range, so we're just keeping the majority of the rain off of us and the sun off of you, although we're in a nice wooded area. So I've got to go back and do like I did the classroom. I'll probably seal the holes. I don't know. Depends on if it becomes a problem or not. Right now it's not. So I've still got to do this side. And I just finished. So I've been out here working by myself. Tried to get my son-in-law to help me, but one of them's got sick. My sick wife, my daughter, and his oldest son is sick, so he wasn't able to come help. And then the middle child's husband, it's his mother's birthday, so they're out there with them today. So it's fine. It took 7 pieces on that side, and I forgot to bring my chainsaw down here to cut that post off, so I can't add the last piece, but that can be done later. The biggest part of it's covered anyway, get you out of the wind and rain, and or for the most part, because most of the holes won't leak. They'll run down the metal, so no big deal. But I'm fixing to get started on this side. I've still got more metal there. That's the used several time metal that I've been using, and I actually grabbed the worst pieces for this side. Why, I don't know, but these aren't quite as bad shape, but they are still used a couple of times at least. This has only been used once on the lean-to I tore down off the mini barn up there, so it's not going to be slap full of holes and all that good stuff. It's got some, but not near as many. Maybe a half a dozen at the most for the whole sheet. So either way, I think it's coming along good. I'll give y'all an update when I finish. All right, guys. I know the floodlight's on. Those pieces that were used, some of them were cut on an angle at the end, like somebody put it up and cut it to match their building, but I stripped it out with 2x4s across the top and the bottom, out here and in there, and used all the oldest metal first, just because of what it is. It's out on the range, it doesn't get used a whole lot. So there we go. And I swept off the old roof, and you see where I bent the metal back up where it dipped down where the limb hit. Like I say, if I continue having leaks down there, there's a couple pieces of metal left that I can take that up with and put the good metal down and fix the leaks if I have to. And then I'm going to, whichever ones I don't use, like those dented ones, I'll cut right down the middle and use it as my ridge cap, as you see we did on this one. But I'll use it on my ridge cap here, long ways. But I've got to cut those 4x4 posts off on each outside corner so that I can lay the one more piece of metal on each end. And the shelter on the classroom at the range will be done. So yeah, some of it's pretty old, rusty metal. Looks worse in here than it does on top, believe it or not, because I think it was all mounted wrong. But that end right there just kind of rotted away, but the rest of it was in decent shape. So, but let me turn the fan on, show y'all what it'll do. All right, looks funny on camera, but all right. So I am 14 or 15 feet from it. You can't feel anything there because it's blowing diagonal across the shelter. But right here, oh man, that feels like a good 10-15 mile an hour breeze. It's constant, and I'm gonna back up until I really can't feel it anymore. So all the way to these trees, see the leaves blowing? That's 25 or so feet away from that fan and not directly in it. I'm directly in the path. So that fan helps keep the gnats and bugs off of you during the day when you're hot or whatever, and you know, out here shooting. So it makes a heck of a difference. I was thinking about hanging a couple more pieces of OSB down there to hang targets on, but Mr. Cal from church is going to come down that Saturday afternoon before, or Friday afternoon before. I don't remember what he said. Might have said Saturday about 4, I thought. I don't know. It's on Saturday. So anyway, he's going to come down beforehand with another guy and put up their target stands. I don't know how hard that is. Mine are, you know, kind of semi-permanent. They're just sitting there. We built frame base around the pole, so it's just standing there. But it's not in the ground, so we could be moved. But we could also hang more plywood from that too, you know, take the steel down temporarily, because we don't want to shoot steel with pistols. Anything closer than 25 yards, I'm telling you, with a rifle, you don't want to hit steel closer than 35 yards. I have had fragments of the bullet, the copper jacket or whatever, come back at 35 yards and hit people in the face and neck because they were shooting too close with rifle. So do not shoot steel with rifles closer than 35 yards. And if you are shooting steel at any distance, make sure you've got it mounted correctly so that it will swing and the bullet will deflect down when it hits. But either way, I'm happy. This is the most I've got done on the range in a couple of years. So I cleaned it up, and of course I will run the mower out here again before the actual training day and probably throw up some more stands here. I really don't understand why we don't use that. It's only 7.5 yards, about 8 yards from the table. So you could back up to 10, which would be here, and very easily shoot, or you could stay at that 7.5 yards, which is average for self-defense. So anyway, I'm gonna pick up that metal and lay it to the side up against the classroom here and call it done out here for today.